What is the thing that you put a baby in? Bassoon?
Bassoon. Put the baby in the bassoon.
Put the baby
Hit
in the
a low
bassoon.
D note and send that boy through the air.
I learned a new piece of information today from you, David.
I saw the COVID wrestling through your brain at that moment.
Yeah. We went to a really lovely wedding over the weekend, and we brought back COVID baby. My dear wife is just totally struggling with it in the bed.
Get well, Emily Alice.
Get well soon, Emily Alice. By the time you hear this, I would be shocked if she wasn't feeling better. But as of now, I'm not feeling too bad, and I indulged you with this information, and you told me you're just like totally COVID pilled. Like it doesn't, the disease doesn't frighten you.
No, I mean I work in healthcare. You know, I've been in it the whole time. So, and I haven't really gotten it, which is weird.
So shocking.
I mean, I feel like the only real answer is that I've had it, but then asymptomatic, and just like something about my immune system just makes it easy for me to not get fucked by it. I don't know what, but yeah, 4 years I haven't had it. You
usually don't get sick, right? Like I feel like I've been friends with you for a long time. What, 25, 26 years at this point? Like,
yeah.
I feel like David being sick is not a common occurrence.
I don't get sick too often. No. I can get infections. The infections are bad.
Interesting.
My ears are gnarly. But like traditional sicknesses from some sort of virus or bacterium, not so much. Not so much.
Welcome to Video Game Podtimism. It's the Optimus video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. Apparently we're talking about our immune systems. And my name is Chase.
And my name is David.
I'm glad that you don't get sick, but I'm worried. I'm more afeared of COVID because I have gotten it before, and it was shitty. I didn't like having it.
Yeah, your eyes are very darty right now. They're darting side to side.
I feel like scared of it.
Yeah, your brain is humming with like the possibilities of another round with COVID.
It's a real bummer. It sucks, and I know that nobody in the mainstream media will tell you that COVID sucks. But I will. I didn't have a good time last time.
It kicked your ass from what you told me. Yeah,
it wasn't good. I didn't have any like long COVID or anything like that, but I was like out for quite a few days. I was not feeling good.
Yeah.
But you know what is feeling good?
What?
Video games, David.
Oh, and I mean, if you do get COVID, you got games, baby.
Yeah, there was a few days where I could. I think I played Gas Station Simulator the last time.
This is all I got in me.
Yeah. It was definitely one of those things where like for a couple of days I was unvideo gameable, which is just like, it's the, shit's serious when it's like, I can't even pick up the sticks, you know?
Mm-hmm. I can't even pick up my sewing needles.
Yeah. Hey, have you been playing video games, David?
Yeah, it's still pretty much just Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It's still just the Erdtree. I'm all the way. I'm pretty much at the end of the game, I think. I'm nearing the end. Because I beat Mesmer.
Okay. Got
to the Einer Elm or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. The secret special place. Yep. And then I realized I had not gotten like two portions of the map. And I was like, hold on, I need to rectify this. So then I went off on like a 2 or 3 day side quest of my own devising to fill out the whole map. Because I was never able to get to the base of Rua, however you pronounce that.
Something like that, yeah.
Or the Abyssal Woods. Hadn't been there before.
Spoopy place.
Very spoopy place. Poor Torrent. Does Torrent need like some therapy after this? Poor buddy. It's just refuses. I liked that. That was fun. It makes it feel a lot spookier because there's something about being on Torrent that makes you feel powerful because you can go around so fast. Yeah. And of course those spooky eyeballs that are lurking down there would not be quite as scary with Torrent, but yeah, it just makes it really takes away your little buddy who's there with you at all times. You're down there all alone in the dark. It's dank, it's nasty, and you gotta start sneaking around like Sneak King. It's a different experience for Elden Ring.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, given my sort of drift towards Lovecraftian horror a lot of the time, I love the like motif of an animal being too scared to like go into a place.
Yeah.
As if like they know something I don't in their bones, you know, like even the animal who like can't reason and like genuinely has seen some of the worst shit this world has to offer.
Yeah.
Is like, nah, I ain't coming out right now. No way.
Has seen eldritch horrors and been with me through those. And it's just like, this is where I draw the line, dude. This is where I draw the line. All right. Get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, fair enough, Tord. I will not force you to come out, sir. But I love how in this game, even just the map itself is kind of a metagame of like how to get to different places and how to fill it out.
Yeah.
Because they give you just like a little peek of what is going down, what's going on in the little valleys in between the big mountaintops that most of the game takes place on. And I've just could never figure out how to get down there. It's just driving me nuts. But then when you do figure it out, oh, it feels so good. You're like, yes, so much space. You can go look up and see where you were looking down on it from before. And you're like, yeah, I did it. Fuck you, Elden Ring. I am John Elden Ring now. So yeah, it's a very satisfying feeling when you're able to fill that out. And I think it's kind of like how Miyazaki was giving you that same experience that you get in like a Dark Souls game where it's more like just legacy dungeons and you just all of a sudden pop out of like a manhole somewhere and you're back in the beginning of the game. Whereas in this one, it's more like, oh, I now know that if I go down this way and down through this little crevasse that I've just passed by 1,000 times, I can finally get to the spot that I've been seeing this whole time but couldn't get to.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to snaking you back around in a sneaky way. And like, surprise, you're back at the first site of grace in the game.
Right. Yeah, totally.
So yeah, it's just a very well made game. I will say one thing is that I feel like the inventory system is bursting at the seams with this game now. It seems like it's gotten to its limits because it's just so hard to find anything. I know that they added like this is a new item inventory section, but even with that, I'm like, I don't know where so many of these things that I got in the early game they're all mixed in with the stuff I have from the real lands between, not the Shadow Realm. I just can't find anything anymore. So I think that's just one small like UI gripe with this game. But yeah, it's just really fun. The boss battles are great. They feel more cinematic in this one. The bosses, they have very, very well animated moves that do some pretty crazy things, like a lot of visual effects with their moves, like the dancing lions, or the boss that you fight down in the Abyssal Woods in that little legacy dungeon that they have down there. So it just feels more bombastic overall than the base game, but maybe I just haven't played the base game in a long time because the game was great too.
It was good too.
So yeah, really enjoying it. Great game. Doesn't quite kick my ass as much as some of the other FromSoft games, but I'm curious to see what this last boss has in store for me. I think I'm getting close. So
yeah, I think you are too.
None of the other bosses have really like stood before me in a very valiant way so far in this game. It's been like 2 or 3 runs for most of them because I feel like I'm very over leveled for this playthrough. I feel like I'm level like 2 something at this point.
Bam.
I'm just like an original run, not a new game plus or anything. So maybe it's going to be a different experience for me with this final boss than for some folks. So I know you were saying you're stuck on that person, right?
I still haven't beaten him. I haven't really gone back, but I'm still there. I took a couple of like sabbaticals to go and shoot the bird in Mohg's palace from the cliffside to get some levels, but I think I'm still only like 170, 180, somewhere in there. So like my level isn't that high, I think, especially compared to what you're describing.
Yeah, I think I'm like 215, 220, something like that. I'm way up there.
It might be easier for you, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm sure I would still have a hard time with the final boss, but yeah, we'll see. Let me know if you beat him. I want to know what happens.
I'll let you know. It probably will happen this week is what I'm thinking. But yeah, that's really all I've been playing still.
Nice.
I've not been really dabbling in anything else besides the game that we played for the pod today, Gravity Rush. Yeah, what have you been playing?
A bunch of shit, maybe unsurprisingly. So because I haven't been digging into Elden Ring very much, I've kind of just been all over the place. And also we had Brendan on last week to talk about 358 Days Over 2. Thanks for hanging out.
Well done. You got the name right.
Appreciate it. I had to hear myself say it wrong for 3 hours or however long that podcast was. And so I don't want to say it wrong anymore.
Beautiful.
But thanks for coming on, Brendan. That was a good episode.
Yeah, thank you.
And I mean, it just left me with a lot of feelings of wanting to play Kingdom Hearts, David. So I've been playing quite a bit of Kingdom Hearts.
It gassed me up for Kingdom Hearts too.
Yeah.
I was ready for it.
So I had like about a halfway through playthrough of Dream Drop Distance. Or at least what I thought was halfway through. I ended up being much closer to the end than I thought I was.
Oh, cool.
But played that for a little bit, beat that, and also was like, I played Kingdom Hearts 3 when it came out. I did not like it very much. And I also felt so lost when I was starting it up.
Yes.
After having beaten Dream Drop Distance, I was like, this game feels like required reading for Kingdom Hearts 3, like absolutely necessary. The shit that's going on in there is like critical to that part of the game, because I feel like the inciting event of Kingdom Hearts 3 is that they're like, hey, Sora, you lost a bunch of your power the last few events that have happened. And they don't really explain what. They're just like, in the dream, like fucking Yen Sid is like, in the dream world, you fucked up and lost all your power.
His voice is so intense, isn't it?
He's such an intense guy. Like he looks cartoony and ridiculous, but he is like so serious in these video games.
Yep.
But when I played it, I was like, what are we talking about? What is going on here? And that is like most of what happens in Dream Drop Distance. Yeah. So going back and beating that and sort of understanding the context of what, like, it leads directly into 3. And so I felt much more prepared going in there, having played Birth by Sleep recently and also 358 Days Over 2. I was like, all right, fuck it. It's time. I'm checking out Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm giving it its year of second chances try here. I'm enjoying this so much more than I did the first time.
Sure.
I'm sure I will wait to talk about this on inevitable Kingdom Hearts 3 episode that we do, but like just at a high level, weirdly enough, every other Kingdom Hearts game is like, you could play it as maybe one of your first Kingdom Hearts games. Like, I think obviously 1 works on its own. 358 Days Over 2 actually works really well on its own. Even not really knowing, like, you still get the point of the game. Yeah. Birth by Sleep totally works on its own. You might not know who Aqua goes to visit on Destiny Islands. You might not know who those like kids are, but you get the whole thing. 2 is a little bit of a mixed bag. Like you wouldn't know who Sora is initially, but I think you get it. I think you understand.
You can fly on with the vibes.
Yeah. Whereas 3, when I'm playing it, I'm like, this game will sing if you have played the other games fairly recently. And in my case, when I tried it last time, I hadn't at all. And I was so detached from like the Kingdom Hearts of it all that I was like, I have no idea what's going on. And the stakes they are not clear at all. Yeah. And I think like, especially when I was playing through like the Hercules level, which is the first one, when I was first playing through it in 3, I was like, the pacing seems so weird. Like, it just feels
it's not a good first level.
It's not. It just feels kind of aimless, and I'm not really sure what's going on. And I'm not sure if it's just because I was more interested in what was going on in the story, but like powered through that and immediately got like, okay, I see what this game is doing a lot more clearly now. And I'll still say that like, some of it is the pacing is a little bizarre and like it's odd, but I wouldn't say it's totally out of line with the rest of the games. I think that there's just like a kind of strange trick that my brain plays on me when I'm looking at like incredible graphics in Kingdom Hearts that like I kind of expect it to be bringing something that the PlayStation 2 did not. And I think part of it's the voice acting too, of just like it looks like a Pixar film. And yet, like, the voice actors are still kind of stilted and weird. And in a PlayStation 2 or a DS game, I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, for whatever reason, it just works there. But when it's, like, picture perfect and I'm looking at, like, the creases in Goofy's nose, I'm like, I don't know if this is it. And so I think just, like, the game works so much better if you have recently played the other Kingdom Hearts games. Because, like, I don't know if I'm just bought in at this point, if I'm, like, just Kingdom Hearts pilled, but, like, so invested in what's going on. And they're bringing in everything that has happened. Like, every other game that has a nod to it, right? Like, they're talking just regularly about Roxas and Aqua and Terra and Ventus, and you get some hints about the 358 Days Over 2 crew here and there, and it's really enjoyable. I have been mostly ignoring the spectacle ride moves.
Yes, they're a little much.
They're a little much, and like I don't think it's when I played it the last time, I felt like it was so like over the top and ridiculous. But like Kingdom Hearts does this shit. Like some of those moves are ridiculous, and they have been ridiculous for a long time, especially in Dream Drop Distance. Like they're present in there too. And so like I've kind of just been ignoring them, and that's worked fine.
Yeah.
You can turn off the like intro cutscenes that play in every one of those. That makes it much faster. Like you don't have to go through the rigmarole of watching all of that every time. And so that's nice to just kind of be able to speed that up a little bit. I'm also like in this replay of Kingdom Hearts, I have mostly been playing on easy mode. And that is largely because like I kind of want Sora to feel like he's just a fucking master. Like he just beats ass, and that's the thing he knows how to do.
The game is decently difficult on just even the normal difficulty.
Yeah, it's not like I'm just walking through the game, but I enjoy the feeling of being just doing a lot of damage to the Heartless, you know?
Absolutely.
And so like I'm largely enjoying that. It also offers me the option of like when I'm on easy, I don't have to use the ridiculous moves. I can kind of just use the ones that I want to. Cause like the moves where you're like changing forms depending on your Keyblade, that's still fun. That still feels great.
Yeah.
It's just the ones where you're going on a roller coaster that really slows down the pace and like
you don't like riding the choo-choo train?
I don't love riding the choo-choo train, you know?
What about the pirate ship?
The pirate, that's the thing. Whenever the pirate ship comes up, I hit it, it starts it, and I just hit the finish button immediately to do a bunch of damage and then just dissipate it. Like, I'm not doing the rhythm game because you're not
get me off this ride.
Yeah, you're not doing that much damage in the first place when
you
you're
really
doing
aren't.
That.
They don't do a whole lot for you. The best thing is that they make you invincible for a bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you kind of need like a break from the chaos of it, but again, I'm playing on easy, so like I'm chilling. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I'll save like the rest of my feelings for a later date, but yeah, I think I'm enjoying Kingdom Hearts 3 ?
If you're enjoying it now, I think you'll only enjoy it more. Because it is one of these games that it really puts its worst foot forward in the first half of the game. And then the second foot comes out and you're like, oh baby, look at this thing.
Foot.
This is a fucking foot now. This is getting weird. Anyways, but no, it gets so much better. Like the last like half of the game is noticeably better, and like the last 5 hours is quite good.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I've heard that from a lot of people that it ends very well, and I'm also interested to check out the like Remind stuff, the kind of like DLC for this game, because I
need to play that.
I've heard that is also good.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be required reading for 4, I'm sure.
Yes, that's what I hear. I also between then and now have to watch the cutscene of back cover. What I understand is very important for Remind.
What is back cover?
It's essentially the same kind of cutscene treatment that 358 Days Over 2 had, but for the mobile game that they put out, Kingdom Hearts like X-Chi. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it, but I think that's what it was.
Like the Chi Blade?
Yeah, I think so. There was a game that took place, I think, during the Keyblade Wars. It's about like the Master of Masters. Do you know anything about this?
The Master of Masters. That sounds very familiar, but I do not remember who that is.
It's like very early on in the timeline. It's like very like a long time ago is when this is going on. And there's like, I think 5 or 6 apprentices of the Master of Masters who like are trying to figure out like who's the mole among them, essentially.
Whoa.
And that's like how the, Keyblade's war happens and all that shit.
I thought it was that the Master of Masters was
That may be it. I haven't finished it. So I will probably have to cut most of that out.
That's fine.
Spoils. Yeah, just for the spoils. Because it wouldn't hurt for us to have like a half an hour episode about what goes on in that little cutscene.
Capital C content.
David the Content King.
That's me, baby.
That's you.
No COVID, all content.
All content. You can't keep them down. So yeah, I gotta watch that stuff, and then I'm excited to get to the second half because like I've been mostly enjoying the first half. It's like there's definitely worlds where I'm like, okay guys, I am done with this one.
Some is like, it really feels like for some of them there is a Disney employee in the room like, all right, could put more Disney into it, a little bit more, just a little bit more.
Yeah. It's specifically the Tangled one so far has been like, I don't know that there was a lot added here, Like,
no, because that's what I always liked in the other ones is that like it is the world, but it's telling a story separate from the movie.
Sometimes, right? Like sometimes that happens. Like, because not all of those worlds are hits, Like, I like the Mulan one in Kingdom Hearts 2, but it is largely just the story that happens in the movie.
It's true.
And so it's hard for me to distinguish like why this world isn't working quite as well. It may just be the fact that it's long and like there are a lot of cutscenes. And so I kind of feel like I'm waiting around pretty often.
Yeah.
Cause like, I don't know that it really pushed the plot forward in that one. Like the Toy Story level, as much as it was like kind of well-trodden territory of like, we got to go find Andy, but it was different enough. And I think was speaking to kind of like Sora's mood, a lot of like Buzz being scared of like this other half of himself being like nascent and kind of waiting around and maybe being able to be like taken over by the darkness. I'm like, now we're talking, dude. This is fucking Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
But the Tangled one was just Tangled. We just did Tangled.
Yeah, instead of it being, this is how these Disney characters interact with Sora in his story, it is now Sora is just kind of hanging out with these Disney characters in their story, and we're going to recreate some of these scenes from the movie one-to-one with just Sora, Donald, and Goofy milling about in the background doing nothing.
It really was. They were in the background for a lot of it.
Right?
Like the scene at the end of Tangled, and spoilers, I guess, for people who haven't seen Tangled, but I'm spoiling that way more than I'm spoiling Kingdom Hearts. Like the scene where Flynn Rider cuts off her hair and like the mother Gethel, was that her name?
Ooh, I don't know.
She like, fades into an old woman with her power being drained. That whole scene, Donald and Goofy and Sora are just in the windowsill. And like every now and then it cuts back to them to see like, what are they thinking? And they just go, oh, or like it's, they're not adding anything.
Yeah. It interrupts the story that the gamer is there for. It's just like, I've seen Tangled.
I have seen it. And so I don't know. I'm
to get to Frozen.
I'm chewing on, I know I'm kind of getting the skip cutscene button ready for Frozen.
I sat through it. You have to as well. You can skip any of the battle animations. That's fine. But you have to experience Frozen.
See, that's the thing. I've seen the movie. Movie's good. I like the movie.
This ain't the movie, though. Did the movie have Sora, Donald, and Goofy in it? No.
Not that I know of. So I'm going to chew on this and try and figure out why these ones aren't working quite as much. But even still, it's mostly fine. Like I still get to beat Heartless in between those worlds. And like I will say that the low of having to play through Tangled compared to the high of returning to Twilight Town was like unparalleled. I couldn't believe how hard that hit for me.
Yep.
I don't know if I just wasn't expecting it or something, but like hearing the like kind of rearranged Twilight Town music and like running into the other characters from the last time you were there, I was like, I wasn't expecting this at all. And it like really hit me this time. Also seeing Twilight Town like inhabited, whereas like in Roxas's version of it, like there weren't that many people. Whereas like this one's like a bustling town and like there are people here and they're doing shit.
Going to the beach,
man. I also love that Sora is like, oh my God, you guys, it's so good to see you to everybody. And he's like, it's been so long. And everybody's like, not really. Like it hasn't been that long. It's sort of nodding at the fact that like, it's been like 16 years or whatever since Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. But in game, it's been like 6 months to a year, depending on like how long it's been for any individual character. Incredible stuff. Really like that. So anyway, Kingdom Hearts 3, enjoying it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Quick follow up on a game that I talked about 2 weeks ago, which is Mother 3. I beat this game and hey, I liked it a lot. It was still very good. I think I was at the part of the game last time that like is largely the best part, save like kind of the end of the game. And so like I was really hot on it. I was definitely like, this is like incredible and marvelous and like wonderful. And I still think that, but man, is there a big difficulty spike at the end of the game. Holy shit. It was really hard.
Sure.
I was like not expecting to have to like get as good at the game as I did. And that is like with, the advice of, I've been talking to Will, who was on the Into the Aether episode about Mother 3. And they were like giving me advice for like, hey, make sure you don't miss this item. It's critical and shit like that. And using guides and also using the fast forward button liberally so that I could like grind and get like quite a bit higher level than a lot of the enemies in the area. And even still, like there was a couple of bosses that just stopped me for a couple of days.
Dang.
It was really, really hard. And I wasn't expecting that from this game. And so like, in addition to the stuff that I would love to see them revisit with like, their queer characters in this game, if they were to put out a remake, I would love it if they sanded off some of those difficulty edges, because like, holy shit, they are really, really, really challenging. All that said, the last like hour or two of this game is just incredible. It is so, so good. I won't spoil anything, but just like, I think it comes together in such a beautiful way. And like the kind of post, I guess, credits, it's not really credits, but like after the game says the end, there's a little bit more.
Love it.
And it's incredible. I think it's really, really good. I feel like because I talked mostly about the beginning of the game last time and where I was at with it, I think most of that still stands. And anything that I can add would just be spoiling more of the game. And so I don't know that I can really speak to much more of it, but like I found the last hour of it like incredibly moving and really, really good. I just thought it was a really incredible way to end this game. And one that I'm sort of shocked was just on the Game Boy Advance. It's just out there on the GBA. So yeah, that's just kind of the recheck-in having beaten it. I wish it was a little easier, but wow, what a wonderful game at the end of it all. The only other thing that I really wanted to bring up was that I've been playing this game, David, called Dragon Quest V. Five.
What system did this originally come out on? That's an old one, isn't it?
Yeah. So let me see. Dragon Quest V, Hand of the Heavenly Bride, originally came out on the SNES in 1992 in Japan.
Ooh.
And what is the KOR region? Oh, Korea. It also came out in Korea. And then
there was a region.
The core region. Those are for all the core gamers. But it also came out on PlayStation 2 in Japan in 2004.
Oh, okay.
So there was a bit of an update.
SNES and PS2. Yeah, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
But the first time it hit the American market was in 2009 on the DS.
Wow.
I know, yeah, very long tail to this game. And this is largely a recommendation from the Into the Aether dudes.
Yeah.
They love Dragon Quest. And also this one is like, I can't remember if Brendan or Steven had mentioned this, but one of them had said like, this is one of the best games, like maybe ever.
Is this like the Dragon Quest if it's been remade this many times?
I don't know if it's the Dragon Quest. And like, I think that's largely just my own unfamiliarity with the series. I suspect that most folks would probably point you towards 11, Dragon Quest 11, Echoes of an Elusive Age. And I think 8 is also very good. That was the one on PS2 with Yangus. But I have heard that 5 is like probably also one of the better ones and maybe one of the better games, period. And so I was like, all right, I want to give this a try. You know, I've enjoyed my time with other Dragon Quest games and I want to give this one a go. And so I tried playing the DS version first. On my Ain Odin, and I have a really hard time playing DS games not on original DS hardware.
Yeah.
It's not quite as enjoyable, and I think that's largely just like a screen size thing. And like it's touch screen, so like sometimes that can interfere with it. And so I was having kind of a tough time, but I really wanted to play it on like an emulator because something I've also heard is that like there's a fair amount of grinding in these games. And so like, you know, it wouldn't hurt to have a fast forward function here as well, especially after my time with Mother 3 and that being kind of a way that allowed me to push through the game a lot easier than I could otherwise. So I was like, I don't know if I can do the DS emulation thing, but I was like, hey, I wonder if there is a fan translation of the PS2 version, because that came out only in Japan, but it's on the PS2. Like I can do that.
Yeah.
And sure enough, there was. My understanding is that they took the dialogue from the DS version and just put it in the PS2 version.
Smart.
And especially like I was playing through it and I was like, this dialogue looks largely the same as it was when I played it on the DS, right? Because I played, you know, first hour or so. But, you know, there's not two screens to deal with. So this is much easier for me to manage. And I've played kind of a lot of this game in the last couple of weeks here. Yeah, I mean, this is core Dragon Quest shit.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know like what that game is, this is like one of the earliest RPGs in video games that like really hit it big. If you have seen the kind of tiny blue slime anywhere, which like you almost certainly have, like that's this game. That's what that comes from. Yep. And I think all of them deal in like, it's like Japanese developers sort of doing like Western fantasy tropes and shit, which is a really interesting lens to like look at the genre from. I think it brings a lot of like joy to the series, and there is like a jovial nature to a lot of this game. I think especially in just like the character design. It's got fucking Akira Toriyama doing most of the art for these characters, and like it looks phenomenal. So in the character design, the music, just the whole world, and something that I've noticed in a lot of these games is that they present you with a largely kind of like, I wouldn't say low stakes, but like chill environment for most of the time. and then will just deliver like really, really intense shit happening kind of without you realizing that is what was going to happen a lot of the time. So like in Dragon Quest V, the arc of this game is that you are playing as this one character, this like young boy who is like, you know, a child when the game starts, and you are wandering around with your dad. And like, it's sort of an incredible like turn of the RPG genre, because you wander out into battle, like outside the town for the, you know, in the first part of the game, and you get into a battle and you're doing no damage and they're doing a lot of damage to you. And sure enough, your dad shows up and just like whips ass in the battle, and he's
good
like,
old dad,
are you good? And then like heals you and escorts you to the next town, right? And so like it immediately kind of gives you this sense of like powerlessness, and then allows you to kind of grow from there. And so the arc of like getting stronger and growing a little older is, you feel it really acutely. And like, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but like there's a couple of like really wild turns in this game pretty early on. And so it's like, it feels like myth and legend in a way that like I don't find a lot of other games do. I mean, it feels like Zelda in a lot of ways, where there is a really kind of like nice coat of paint on it, and it looks nice and feels nice to exist in these worlds a lot of the times, but like there's an undercurrent of like very intense shit happening kind of just beneath the surface. Sure. Which I really, really like. I've been really enjoying that. It is maybe also the father of Pokemon games.
Really?
Because in this is one of the earlier games. This came, like I said, came out in 1992, and it's one of those games where like every now and then, if you beat a monster in a certain way, like it's kind of just random, it's just a chance, but every now and then they'll ask like, hey, can I join your party?
Ooh.
And you can, you know, just have a slime knight on your team.
Slime knight? Is this just like a slime with a helmet and a sword?
That's exactly. It's a guy in a suit of armor like riding a slime, essentially.
Oh,
it's very cool.
Right.
And so you can have them join your team, and you like have to level them up and give them like equipment and shit like that. And you can get new other ones, and they all have kind of different builds and shit like that. And it seems quite influential on the genre, right? Like,
sure,
you will eventually see stuff like that in Pokemon and Digimon and all sorts of shit. So would not be surprised if like this is one of the earlier games to do that.
Yeah.
I suspect that the Megami Tensei games were also pretty early on in this trend, but like this one and that one I think are probably the forebearers of that sort of genre. So it's really cool to experience that and kind of see where that kind of game has come from, and how much of it is like still very fun, right? Like whenever you actually catch one, or like, you know, you end the battle and one of them shows up like, hey, can I join your team? I'm like, yes, yeah. Like it's the same sort of thrill of catching a really cool Pokemon.
So do you know what procs that? Like how do you get them to join your team, or is it just random?
My understanding is that it's a dice roll. Like you have to beat them last in the kind of lineup, because usually there will be a handful of enemies on the field when you fight. And if you beat them last, then it's like, you know, your chances are like 1 out of 4 or something for them to try and like join your team. But
sure, that
chance will differ a lot depending on like how rare of an enemy it is. So like, you know, a slime knight, it's like, I think it's like 1 out of 4. So like not too bad. But you know, a metal slime, really low, because those are both exceedingly rare and would probably bring you quite a bit of strength to your team.
Really, a metal slime is strong.
A metal slime has quite high defense. Essentially the metal slimes are the kind of enemies where like if you beat one, you get a shitload of experience.
Is that just a slime coated in metal?
That's my understanding. So yeah, it's a really wonderful game, and one that I think like I always thought that I didn't like it because it felt very like not trivial but basic in a way, and I think it is basic, but it does those things incredibly well.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like listening to music from, I don't know, the 50s or 60s or something like that. And you're like, I've heard where this genre goes. And so it feels kind of like moving backwards. But at the same time, if you listen to it enough, you're like, oh, wow, this is incredible. It's still really, really good.
Yeah. Still do it well. Basic doesn't mean bad.
Yeah. And so I've been like really impressed with it. I'm really enjoying it. I will also say that it's weirdly reminding me of Elden Ring in the way that the map works, where it doesn't label very much. And when you open it, you're kind of just looking at it like, okay, where am I even supposed to go right now? And the game, like,
just like, how does the topography work on this map?
Yes. Yeah, that's part of it. Like it has something on the map. Like there's a city way over there. I'm like, well, I got to go see what that is. And so you're kind of drawn by your own curiosity. It's also like cool that once you get into kind of the act 2 of the game, you are largely given very few instructions. It's just like, here's the big goal that you have. And so it is kind of a more hands-off and frankly, like an Elden Ring experience where you've got a very large goal that you're supposed to accomplish. The game is definitely kind of gating you around like where you can't go, but it's very it makes the discovery of some like story beat or something miraculous whenever it happens, because you're like, oh my God, I've been searching for so long to find something to kind of like continue on this story. And here this person is saying that they like have more information about the thing that I've been trying to find. So it's like, it makes it really, really cool when you like get to another story beat. So yeah, Dragon Quest V, I'm like very much enjoying it. It is really, really cool. And the characters are also really good, surprisingly. Like, nice. I don't think this is like spoiling too much, but just like kind of an example of this is that you meet this kid, Prince Harry, in the early part of the game. And he's like a total turd to you. Like he's just really, really mean.
Chase, are you just making commentary on our current prince right now?
Yeah, get wrecked, princes. Is Harry the chill one?
Harry is the one that's in my neck of the woods.
Yes, but he's like truly terrible to you as a young boy, and there's like kind of a significant jump in time at some point, and he's like such a different person. And so like you don't need to see everything that happened to kind of understand what goes on, but it's really incredible to see, like, you kind of have to read between the lines of like, oh, I understand what happened to him, and like he acts so differently now that so much time has passed. And so it's really, really cool to see that. And I think just like more games should have time jumps. I love games that have a huge, big, significant time jump.
Like a time jump. Like in the beginning of Nier Automata.
Nier Automata is a good one. Yeah, great time jump
14,000 years.
Let's see.
Azura's Wrath.
Azura's Wrath, great time jump. Damn, good pull. Obviously, Three Houses. Love a time jump at Three Houses. That's very fun.
Ocarina of Time. Classic.
Ocarina of Time, good time jump.
Good time jump.
Yeah, so like I think when used well, that can serve such a cool purpose. And just like I love to see what a character looks like when they're just a little older. I like that. It's fun for me.
Fun for you. You love aging.
I like aging, which maybe I don't like it in real life, but I like it. That's not true. I like it a little bit in real life.
There's some good things about aging.
There's some cool things about aging. I think millennials give aging kind of a bad rap.
I have a whole soapbox on this, but I'm not going to get into it right now. This isn't the time or the place.
I think we're all too scared of aging, David.
I think that's part of it. I think the internet's part of it. Like I hang out with people 60 plus all day. Yeah. And they're just like, you are a young child. I'm just like, I am. You're right. Thank you. I still have a lot of life to live.
It's helpful to put that into perspective sometimes. I think our generation suddenly is saying that we're all old men, and like we're 30, you guys. Like we're not being directly marketed to anymore, but like there is kind of a lot of life to live still. You know?
I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of Target ads definitely coming for millennials with their Michelle Branch sing-alongs. It's just different things are marketing to us now.
Yes. Yeah. Cool young person things are not being marketed, but like, what is the thing that you put a baby in? Bassoon?
Put the baby in the bassoon.
Put the baby in the bassoon.
Hit a low D note and send that boy to the air. No, a bassinet, I think is what you're looking for.
Thank you, David.
Put the baby in the bassoon.
Put the baby in the bassoon. Put him to sleep. God,
man, you gotta be able to play that bassoon well to soothe the baby to sleep. Otherwise, it sounds bad. It sounds like a sad duck, or a sad cow, maybe. No, a sad cow. An oboe sounds like a sad duck.
Oh wow,
double reeds, man. Double reed instruments are hard to play.
You would know. This is band knowledge that I don't have.
Band knowledge.
Hey, can I tell you about something fueling my sense of optimism, David?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's fan translations, David.
Ooh, fanslations.
Fanlations. Both Mother 3 and the Dragon Quest game were both fan translations. Jeez, what a unsung amount of work that this takes. That is a really hard thing to do. Like, you know, to comb through line by line and to be able to like extract out the meaning of something rather than just like hurtling it into Google Translate, because that's not going to work.
Exactly.
It just seems like so much work, and like I wish that fan translators didn't exist, because like I would hope that, you know, maybe their work would be noticed by a company, and then like, you know, say Nintendo was like, hey, this is a really good fan translation, like let's hire these people, pay them for their work, and then, you know, release the game. Or the same thing with Dragon Quest V, right? Maybe they didn't because there's a version for the DS, but like even still, I think that it is.
You don't want Nintendo to know your location, but continue.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I really appreciate that they do, because it seems like such thankless work, and usually just inherently because of the fact that you're doing a fan translation and this is not an actual like full product, they can't get paid for this. This is not something that they can like, you know, market and say, hey, pay for this version, because they're probably distributing it onto, you know, a ROM or something like that. And so it's a real bummer, but I think it speaks to just like their there's a lot of good in a lot of people that are willing to just be like, I'm going to do this for free. And it's just because I like this game a lot.
Yeah.
Again, I wish that there was a way for, them to get paid by the company who makes the game, and like Nintendo gets more popularity for Mother 3. I want to play more Dragon Quest games because I got to play Dragon Quest 5. So like, they should be compensated for this. It's a lot of hard work.
It's true. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And it's also doing the game preservation thing. Like they're working to make sure that these games are playable in multiple different locations. So yeah, it's just, it's really great and cool. And I wish it didn't have to exist, but I'm glad that it does.
Absolutely.
It's really cool, and I'm happy that they're out there. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Great.
David, is there something fueling your sense of Podtimism?
I mean, now I'm self-conscious about it because you just had this very heartfelt love for these fan translators, and my thing that I'm bringing is the Deadpool butt controller.
Oh my God. Hey, that counts too.
Which is one of the most crass and ridiculous things I have seen in a long time. And if there is ever like a paleontologist far into the future unearthing this and sees like, yes, this is when their civilization started to decline. This is the marker of like the end of what is good about this group. This is it. This is the butt controller is the end of it.
Here it is.
But at the same time, I think it's funny.
It's very funny to have a butt on a controller.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I want to touch it. I want to, like, what does it feel like? Is it a good controller? I can't imagine. It's ergonomical, but maybe it's more ergonomical. Who knows?
I pray that it is squishy. I feel like it needs to be squishy.
If it wasn't squishy and I won this contest that they are giving this out through, I would be upset.
Yeah, if it's just like tough, hard plastic.
Yeah, if it's just hard to the touch plastic, no, it's got to at least be soft plastic. It doesn't maybe even have to be squishy, but just like soft plastic, like the interior of a nice car,
Yeah, I'm with you. It's the farthest I can go to enjoying Deadpool, for better or worse.
You don't enjoy Deadpool?
I'm not a fan of this man and his pool, David.
Ryan Reynolds, the character of Deadpool, all of it?
I think it is largely it's the fandom, I think, around it of people who are like, I love a troll. A troll is my favorite character. A couple of other ridiculous controllers. Obviously, the Resident Evil chainsaw controller. Had to do it to him one time. The entirely unergonomical Dragon Quest slime controller.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like a absolute nightmare to hold.
Makes no sense.
So bad. One that I wish maybe did exist in another form is the Phantasy Star Online GameCube controller, which, if you'll remember, is a GameCube controller with just a full-blown huge keyboard in the middle of it. It's just a keyboard with a GameCube controller on the sides.
That's right.
That's good for me. I like that. I've constantly been kind of searching around, like, how do I put essentially like my Steam Link in the living room, and like, can I find the right setup for like maybe a controller and maybe a mouse and a keyboard that I can kind of just stash on my couch somewhere to like play Steam games there. I don't know. Cool. I'm still kind of trying to figure it out, but there's some rumblings there. So the GameCube controller with a keyboard in the middle of it kind of seems like it might work,
That would be a flex. That would be a very big flex. You just had that hanging out in your house, like on your coffee table.
Somehow managed to make that compatible with the Steam Link, no less, is like nightmarish, but maybe.
You're a gaming god at that point.
Be a gaming god. Speaking of gaming gods, do you want to move on to our main thing, David?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool.
Because my optometrist says that my eyes see beyond infinity. That's what he told me.
Do you have a wizard as your optometrist?
No, dude, he's just telling me that my special curse technique, I can see beyond Satoru Gojo.
Oh my God. Hey, welcome to Good Games. It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear. Yeah, I also felt it coming. It was but sometimes it just feels right.
It was meant to be.
I saw some discussion about people wondering what we're saying in the intro to the segment. Because I agree that it just turns into one long word.
Word mush.
The Good Games segment where we talk about the okayest games yesteryear, gosh, all the things I love about them. It just sort of turns into one thing. And I heard somebody say that they thought we'd been saying, and gosh, all the things that we love about him. And I like that a lot. It feels really nice.
How Midwestern of us.
And gosh, all the things we love about him. That was more Australian or New Zealand than I was expecting.
It was like
to be.
An Australian doing a Midwesterner's accent, or a Midwesterner doing an Australian accent. One of those two. But yeah, this podcast is now set in Wisconsin.
Yeah, canonically. We had a little bit more time between Good Game segments than we normally do because we did the Kingdom Hearts one last week, and so we were like, what maybe game that we would like to give a little bit more time to could we cover? And so we went with Gravity Rush.
Yes.
A game that I have heard, like, a lot of the people whose game opinions I trust are like, Gravity Rush absolutely bangs. And I've been hearing that for a while, and I was kind of just, Noah and I talked about this, Ron, when he was on the episode where Noah Hertz from Press Start had said, like, he was waiting to play Death Stranding because he's like, I know I'm gonna love it. I'll get there when I get there. And that was kind of my experience thus far with Gravity Rush, of like, I'm sure I'm gonna like this, but I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But mercifully, we got suggested to play this by Ponk. Thank you, Ponk.
Thank you, Ponk.
Ponk had to say about this game, play it, you fools. It's so good. Okay, love you, bye. Thank you for your suggestion, Ponk.
Love it.
And yeah, I kind of wanted to give this one a little bit more time because I sort of suspected that I was going to like it, but wanted to dig into it, maybe a little bit more than we normally do with these games. Had you heard of this game? Did you know about Gravity Rush, David?
I have heard of it. I didn't really know anything about it beyond the game's name and like what the main character looks like, and her name is Kat.
Yep.
And that she has some sort of like reality warping gravity powers.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it was very much off my radar because I think you were saying that it was a PS Vita game and I did not have a Vita.
Yeah.
So I just totally skipped it when it first came out.
Yeah, I same deal with me. I didn't have a Vita and like didn't really engage with a lot of the games on there. And I think like perhaps unknowingly was like, I don't know that there's that many games for the Vita. And like, I think some of that is true, but like this game being one of them, I was like, oh shit. Yeah, there was games here, and this Honestly, one was like really, really good.
Yeah. I feel like maybe the PSP's greatest crime is that it made me not want to get a Vita. And then I didn't get to play this game when it first came out.
Same deal.
Yeah. Even more than just having only one nubbin.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Most people who I talk to who are like real big Vita freaks are like absolutely crazy about the console. And like, I think the success of the Switch goes to show you that like there was a hunger for it. It may have just been a little bit too early, When did the Vita come out? 2012, I think. I was like about to go to school and just had like negative money. And so I was like, nah, I do not have the extra, dough for a Vita, but even still, it's a good game. So I'm happy we got to check it out. Before we get too far, David, can I hit you with a few hot stats about this game?
Please.
Great.
Hot stats.
Gravity Rush came out June 12th of 2012, as we were suggesting, for the Vita. This was what it appears to be about 6 months after the Vita launch, so this is still kind of in that launch window. This was made by Japan Studio, and specifically a subsect of Japan Studio called Team Gravity.
Ooh, that's
Japan
fun.
Studio just putting out fucking banger after banger. Like, they are involved in so many amazing video games.
Great studio.
Amazing studio. And I think that Keiichi Toyama is kind of one of the bigger influences on this game. He was the director of Silent Hill and sort of got like pigeonholed into making horror games for a long time. This team and him had made these horror games called Siren, which had come out on PS2. And I think it was largely just a way of like, hey, can we do more horror stuff and like, maybe have another Silent Hill on our hands. And from the kind of interviews and the Wikipedia articles that I was like reading through about him, it seemed like he maybe didn't enjoy being stuck in that lane and that like Gravity Rush was a way to try like a different kind of video game.
Great. Branch out.
Man, is it different.
Yeah, sure
Silent
is.
Hill.
Yeah.
He had mentioned specifically that he was really influenced by Crackdown when he was building this game.
I kind of see that.
It's so bizarre once you like read that because it's so present in the game. But despite the fact like I don't think I could have pulled that out when I'm playing it. But like the total commitment to like being able to traverse wherever and also the little like gems that you pick up that allow you to traverse more and like upgrade your character. I'm like, damn, that is Crackdown, isn't it?
Yeah, being able to just easily upgrade right from the menu.
Yes. Yeah. So bizarre, but I was like, okay, cool. Nice. I do have a review of this game from our friends over at Show Video. I took their review, which was originally in French, ran it through Google Translate a number of times, and eventually spat it back out in English, which I will read for you now, David, to get an artist interpretation of this review. They said, some have tried to make Gravity Rush one of the best games on Vita, and we know they're lying when we see it. This theme features beautiful graphics, classic gameplay, and a multi-tool. In short, if you love Sony's latest kiss, you won't want to miss out on this. And they gave it a 9 out of 10. Sort of confusing tonal whiplash.
That's a lot
there.
going on there. Yeah, they said that it's one of the best games, but they know that they're lying, the people who say that.
They know they're lying when we see it. I don't know what that means. They seem to be suggesting that the people don't actually like this game, but they also gave it a 9 out of 10, so I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
They don't know what they're talking about. It's true. No one knows.
It's definitely their fault, not the fault of us running it through Google Translate a bunch of times. It's definitely not that.
Definitely not.
Could you explain to me what this game is, David?
Yeah, Gravity Rush is a third-person action adventure game where you take on the role of Kat, a young lady who finds herself in this very steampunk floating city without any memory of who she is, dressed in very different garb than the people who live there, and with a cat that looks like a universe. It's a cat shaped, but it's like space inside of it when you look at it. And this cat grants her the ability to essentially change the pull of gravity on herself at her whim. So she can kind of suspend herself in air and then be like, gravity is now pulling me towards the side of this building. And then she'll just fly over, or fall over, I should say. And then she'll just walk on the side of the building because that's where gravity is pulling her now. Yeah. Really allows her to fly around the city and very fun and interesting ways, get to interact with people in a lot of fun and interesting ways because of these powers. Yeah. I think that's the crux of it.
Yeah, I think so. It's a fascinating game. I think I was gonna say it's a very mechanically focused game, but I actually don't think that's true. I think there's a lot of story happening here.
There is, yeah,
and it's very
anime style.
Cool. It's very anime style. There was a subsect of Japan Studios that called Team Eco, which made Eco and Shadow of the Colossus and The Last Guardian. And I feel like, despite the fact that I don't think that there's a ton of crossover as far as like huge names attached to like director or producer positions from those two games in this one, but like it feels like a similar level of out there as far as like world design goes. Yeah, which is just so cool. Like I feel like there is so much ingenuity and like creativity on display with this game. Like the world design is so different. It's got this like almost like French kind of 1920s style to the city, which is so cool. I think like, maybe if you're being more broad, it's just kind of got like a not steampunk, but like, kind of industrial revolution, European city style to it. Yeah.
That also is floating in the air.
Yeah. That's the thing, is it's city flies like floating in the air. So it's like just so cool what they're doing with the design. I guess, we can get into what we like about this because, hey, there's a lot in there that I like. Yeah, goodness. I mean, just the visual design is amazing. It looks so good and it's so creative. Like initially I was like slightly overwhelmed with the size of the city.
There's a lot.
Just being like, there's a lot there, but I think once you get comfortable with the kind of gravity shifting,
yes,
it opens up a lot. You realize that you can kind of go wherever. That is freeing in a weird way. And it makes exploring the city just like so much fun, so enjoyable to do.
Yeah. And there is definitely, a timer to how long you can use your powers, but even if you run out, it's almost never a bad thing. If you just fall.
Yeah, that like essentially this game is a riff on like, what if there was no fall damage?
Yes, no fall damage. It's great. Love it.
I think that's like part of the narrative too, right? Is that like this cat can't take fall damage. Like if she falls from a really high height, she will not die or anything like that.
As long as she's got her cat with her, Dusty.
Right. Exactly.
Good cat name.
And so like, I don't know, there's something freeing about that because I think that so many games take fall damage as a normal part of it. And so to take away one of the things that I just kind of associate with playing a video game of like, if I fall from far away, that's a bad thing for me, right? Like it is one of the few rules in Mario is that like, if you fall off of the ledge to a place you can't see, it's game over. It's true. You're done.
Yeah.
And like, if you fall off the entire floating city, then like, you have to go back to a checkpoint in this game. But like, if you just fall off a building, like she's fine. Yeah. Like you just get down there, she, kind of tumbles a little bit, but like, it's not that big of a deal. No. And so to take that and push it to be like, you're always kind of falling. It's just like you directing where you go. is so ingenious. And like, again, initially I was like, is this clunky? I don't know if this feels good. But the moment that you just kind of like let go of feeling worried about falling through the sky, it becomes so good. The traversal is so much fun.
Yeah. The crackdown, I definitely feel the crackdown inspiration there. Also strangely like Spider-Man-esque.
Yeah, definitely.
In a way, with the tall buildings, navigating around them, getting a vantage point from up high to see things, being able to upgrade how fast you fall, and like going through these turns that you're learning through the city quicker each time, and just kind of honing your traversal skills through the city.
Yeah.
Very, very Spider-Man-esque to me.
Totally.
Specifically like Spider-Man 2, right? And especially with like all the little side missions you can do just for folks randomly around town.
Definitely.
Also feels very Spider-Man-y. But yeah, the traversal feels so good, and it feels smooth. You know, there's this very nice kind of like, when you shift directions, you kind of pause a little bit and your momentum changes and you go that way. But you never feel like you're sliding through the air. You just feel like a little bit of a pull and then a pull and a go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they really nailed the feeling of momentum and speed. Also made it really easy to be able to direct yourself and use this power through this area to where it almost always feels good the way you're doing it.
Yeah. It feels like it is within a razor's edge. You would have to tune this game to not feel clunky and like, you know, shitty. Because like a game where you are always falling and like you want it to feel kind of floaty, like that seems like a recipe for disaster of just like how hard that would be to make it feel good.
Yeah.
But they sure do. Like something about the way that like when you're flying in the air, Cat just kind of like falls around and like rotates through the air. But then when you want to stop, she kind of does slow down a little bit. And then you can sort of like immediately turn in a different direction and start going that way.
Yeah, her limbs are just flailing around. She is flailing around a lot while she is falling.
It's cool because I feel like that communicates a certain amount of like out of controlness to her. Like it's not perfect, you know, like I think that you could make this be like a superhero simulator of like her with her arms up, like flying through the sky and shit like that. But the fact that she's kind of like tumbling is hilarious and like makes it feel a lot like looser in a way that I think really works for this game.
Yeah, it makes her an endearing character, I think, too.
Totally. Yeah. She's also like, you know, she doesn't really remember why she has fallen out of the sky. Like that's one of the first things that happens in this game.
Total amnesia. Classic.
Yeah, definite an amnesiac. And like, I appreciate that the game story does eventually kind of like give you some reasoning as to why that's the case, rather than just like, I don't remember. But it ends up being like, you know, there's some reasoning here, and I think it's cool that they have that. But yeah, I agree. It like kind of makes her feel more in line with a lady who just fell out of the sky, you know?
Just fell out of the sky and just figured out, oh, this cat lets me warp gravity around me. Cool. Let's figure this out.
It definitely feels like you know, she is I don't know if a kid is the right word, but just like somebody who's focused on just like having fun and like trying to find a nice place to lay down and shit like that. Like the first one of those first
sewers,
levels,
baby.
Yeah, one of the first levels is she's like, oh, sick, a sewer pipe. I should find some like furniture. And so she goes out and finds like a bad bed and a chair,
a single chair.
Yeah, and like what she calls a desk, but it looks just like
it's dresser drawers.
A drawer. And she puts that in there, and she's like, "Fuck yeah, dude! I got a home. We figured this shit out.
Interior design done."
Yeah, which is, I don't know, I really like that. I also appreciate that a lot of the missions are just like go out and like talk to people and figure shit out and like, I don't know, wander around. I think the game like really relies on your own sense of exploration in a way that's just very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just wander around the city and there's usually something to do within eye shot, you know?
Yeah. Whether it's, like a challenge of like, hey, beat these enemies very quickly, or like go through these like checkpoints very fast, or collect these gems very quickly. It's like, it's very video gamey shit, but all the while still very fun.
Yeah.
It's got the like actual like art style is very interesting, very Mobius influenced. Which in doing this show, I feel like whenever I say Mobius influenced, I'm realizing that is short for cool, looks cool. It's I didn't really know, like I wasn't super familiar with the dude and just like his work outside of, you know, kind of influencing Yoji Shinkawa, the artist on Metal Gear Solid, and you know, kind of learning about like how that influenced like I think a lot of like Jet Set Radio and really any game that has this kind of like very intense like color and pastel look to it. Usually in some interview, somebody will say like, well, yeah, like a lot of Mobius is shit. And it's like, okay, well, here we are again. But man, it looks great. It looks really, really cool. I think especially the like story scenes where you're getting like comic book frames of different things happening. It's all just like, that's cool as hell, man.
Yeah. And I like that you can move the controller around to like get different angles of it. So like it is, you're looking at some sort of 2D comic in front of you.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely
fun.
I like Kat's character design too. I think she like looks very cool.
Yeah, she does.
I think the way her like hair falls a lot of the time looks very cool, which like it has to, right? If you've got a character that's always falling, you need her hair to look cool while she's falling.
Yeah, you gotta have good physics for that.
And it sure does. So I don't know. I like that a lot. The combat.
We haven't talked about the combat at all.
No, not at all. There's like these, what do they call them? Navi or something like that? Nevi, yeah. There's like these little like blob creatures that show up every now and then.
Black
they all
and red
have
blobby creatures.
Yeah. They all tend or seem to have like some kind of orb inside them that you need to break to beat them.
Yeah.
The actual like combat when you are just standing on the ground is not too bad. It's just kind of punch combos and shit.
Yeah.
But pretty much the moment you get in the air is like, okay, this is how the game I think wants me to fight.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you can, once you get in the air, you can direct a kick towards an enemy and you just, it just changes your gravity being pulled in that direction. So you're pretty much just like drop kicking on people all the time.
And it looks cool as hell too, because she's just like suddenly flying towards these enemies and you like almost like trampoline off of them when you hit them and they don't die. You just kind of jump and jump on top of them.
Yeah. And if you
really
miss,
works.
You go so far. You're like really out there because she goes a lot faster when she's doing this kick attack.
But it makes it feel really great whenever you do land on one and like the orb shatters and shit like that. It
feels good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
You also do more damage if you have come from farther away. So I think it's kind of emphasizing the fact that like you're really picking up speed if you wait and go farther away to hit them.
Got to get to terminal velocity.
The story is very fun. It's got this like there's sort of these like natural disasters that are happening. Maybe natural in the city. And essentially what's going on is like there are areas of the city where like gravity has gotten fucked up and these like Nevi are like attacking people. And there's all these like, I don't know, like whirlpools almost that have shown up in the sky and like
they call them storms. But yeah, they're like real weird black and red whirlpools in the sky.
It's interesting. And like, I didn't beat the game fully, but like I read what happens in the wiki and like wild shit goes down in this game. It's so nuts.
Yeah.
It's, and like, obviously like the world is so intuitive or interesting that like, I feel like it would be foolish to not set some cool story beats in here, but they sure do go pretty buck wild here.
Hell yeah. Love it.
They essentially like explain away and explore like, hey, if this is a tower, then like where else is there? Is there shit higher or lower on this tower? What's going on here? Good. Very fun.
Good. I liked Kat's character. I thought she's fun. Beyond just her design. Of course, the trope of being an amnesiac, plop down into a new world and you have mysterious new powers. The tried and true formula. Great. I just love how peppy Kat is.
Yeah.
She has like this unbridled sense of joy, I think, in a lot of ways. She's very can-do. Right? She never like gets down. She's like, fuck yeah, I'm living in the sewers. This rocks, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, she's very resilient, I think is what I liked about her character so far. And even when she does get like tricked or duped into doing something, she just kind of brushes it off. It's like, all right, that fucking sucked, but let's just keep on going.
Yeah, I guess I have to fix this.
I have to fix it. But yeah, just one foot in front of the other, which is great. I love to see that in a character.
Yeah.
I do feel like she does have some tropes of the time. In that she's like a very quirky girl, I guess you could say.
Like manic pixie dream girl almost.
I was yeah. It definitely has manic pixie dream girl vibes to her. Of course, she is the main character of the story, which is good, as opposed to just serving like to characterize the male, right? So I'm curious to see if they take the character somewhere interesting, because I like her at first blush and like getting to know her over the first like 4 or 5 hours of the game.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see if there's going to be any more depth to her. But she's fun. She's a fun character.
I agree. I totally see what you're saying. And like it approaches the like born sexy yesterday trope, right? Of like Lilu from The Fifth Element and shit like that. Yeah. And I do think that there's more to her than that. Like I think that she is like, she's got a lot going on. So like any of the, I don't know, the sexualized stuff is like not as quite as loud as, the parts of her that are being emphasized.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it's not quite, it doesn't feel quite as egregious, but some of the outfits are a little intense. So like, that's present, but it doesn't feel quite as, bad, I think is, something like The Fifth Element with Lilu and shit like that.
Yeah, I still think that the creators had a healthy respect for the character.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It just feels like an in-between of the times game, like a bridge game. Like they're just like, this stuff is still going to be in a little bit, but we're also like not going overboard with it. And she's actually a pretty interesting character.
Yeah, she's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I agree, because I think like when I was playing it, I was kind of trying to get like a feel for who she was. And I think one of the larger standout moments for me was early on when there is a moment where Alias, one of the bad guys, like steals a core of the city, which
from
is like something
statue?
that's, yes, from the fish statue.
Yeah.
Or I think you steal it and you help him, but he's the one who kind of manipulated you into doing that.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is there's a lot of enemies that show up and Kat has to like beat them all. And in the cutscene after that, like one of the essentially like the police come up and they're like, hey, like, why did you steal that? Like, you're the one who did this, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Up to this point, most people don't trust people who can use the sort of gravity powers, because there's a handful of other people who
call
can.
them shifters, and it's not a good term. Not used like well. Yeah.
They seem to not trust the fact that she can do this. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, a bunch of people come up and they're like, hey, like lay off of her. Like you really shouldn't be harassing her. She's the only one who does something. Like, the cops aren't doing shit. So like, you guys should really like relax and not harass her as much. And I'm like, all right. And Kat was saying like, in that moment, I didn't really I wasn't looking for approval, but it was like one of the first times that I had people from the city like come to my defense, and that was like a big deal for me.
Yeah.
And so like that kind of starts to speak to like, okay, there's more going on here than just like sexy falling lady, So I don't know. I think that there's a lot going on with her character, and again, having read the wiki, there's a lot of shit happening there.
Okay, cool.
So it's cool. I appreciate what they did with a lot of this. So it's not just hot lady fall down.
Fall lady.
You've heard of Fall Guys. Get ready for Fall Lady.
There you go.
It's hard for me to overemphasize just how good the game feels.
It really is make or break on the feel of falling and how you warp gravity around you, and they just nailed it. They really did.
It shouldn't feel good. Like every other game that I've played would lead me to believe that if you made a game where you can shift gravity and fall down, I'm like, there's just no way that that's going to feel good.
Yeah. The camera's going to be a mess. You're not going to know what's up, what's down.
The camera should be a nightmare. Yeah. But it's not that bad.
No, it's not. It's not that bad at all. And I would say that I played it two different ways. I played it on the big screen of my TV, and I played it on my PlayStation Portal. And I do think that it felt better on the Portal with a smaller screen. Because when I played it on the TV, it did hurt my brain a couple times.
Yeah.
Just orienting myself, especially when you're like doing bigger battles with enemies and you're like upside down on a building that's overhanging like a pit. And you're just like, I don't know what's up and down. Like, what is going on right now? Yeah. A little bit easier to process everything that's going on when it's on a smaller screen. And I think that might be how it was designed to be made. Or it was designed to be made for a smaller screen.
For the Vita, yeah.
So yeah, I think we're both talking like we're curious to see how it would change with Gravity Rush 2, which was designed for a console, versus this one. If they change how it feels to move around, or some of the visuals or the combat or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because for me personally, I had the experience of it felt better on a small screen.
Yeah, I from everything I hear that 2 is kind of where they refined the formula. I was talking to Stephen Hilger about this from Into the Aether, and he's like a known Gravity Rush enjoyer. And he was saying like, the comparison between Spider-Man 1 and 2 for PlayStation 2 is kind of apt here, of like, it's good in Spider-Man 1, but like the one where they got it was Spider-Man 2. And he was saying that like they kind of got it with the second one, of like it's a refinement of what was going on in the first one.
Cool.
And so I'm very interested in what's going on there.
Give it a whirl.
I know. I think I'm going to. From what I understand, it's also quite a bit longer, so it might be just a game that I play normally rather than for good games.
Yeah, because this was a pretty bite-sized game. It was like 10 hours.
It wasn't
to beat the
super
whole thing,
huge.
like that.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't end up beating it, but I feel like I was probably at least halfway through it. I may end up beating it just because like it's fun. Like it's an enjoyable game to play just on its own right.
I had downloaded it onto my PlayStation before we even decided to do it for good games. I was going to play it on vacation, but I got Erdtree-d.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm interested. I feel like, and I really don't know much about Gravity Rush 2, so like this might be in there, but I feel like they have so much room to do interesting shit with the story that like, and like there's already interesting shit going on in the first one, but just like, you know, really driving a lot of that stuff home and like giving me more time with the characters and shit, I think would be really cool. Mm-hmm. We didn't really even mention that like this game is kind of open world, which is very neat.
Yeah. Open area, I guess, right?
Yes. Yeah. Open area, I think is correct.
Which is impressive for the Vita.
I know. Yeah. That's the thing is like, it feels, I don't know, the Vita kind of exists in this like between zone for me where it like feels like a very old console, and it like at this point it is, right? It came out 12 years ago.
Yeah.
But there's like weirdly very modern shit that shows up in there where I'm like, hey, this still feels very fresh. Mm-hmm. And that kind of feels like one of them where it's like, how did you get a pretty like good open area on the Vita?
It's impressive.
Yeah. Cause like, I don't know that I want fully open world, right? Like I don't want huge vacuous areas. Mm-hmm. So like the approach that they have with it where it's like just these kind of like curated zones works really well for me.
Yeah.
We'll also say that move that you can do, the kind of like skate move where you hold L2 and R2 feels so fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's reminds me a lot of the skate boots in Mega Man Legends. And so you know I'm about that, baby.
Anything that reminds you of Mega Man, you're there for it.
Mega Man Legends specifically, you know how I be.
I know how
this works for me.
I know how you be.
Anyway, Ponk, thank you for suggesting this one. It gave me a great excuse to play an amazing video game.
Yes, thank you. Great rec.
This was definitely on the side of like, this is just a regular good game rather than like, you know, an okay game.
We didn't have to try hard to find what's good in this game. This was nice.
No. It's kind of nice every now and then to treat yourself with just an actually very amazing video game that like doesn't have a lot to kind of like pick at. It's just like, it's just good. Just good.
Well made. If you would like to interact with our podcast more, you can go to our website, podtimism.com. Mm-hmm. Chase has lovingly made this website with his own two hands.
I built this house brick by brick.
Code by line by line, code by code. He did it. You can go there and you can look up old episodes. You can look at our podcast thumbnail art that Chase has made over the years. You can search for games on the website to see what games we have talked about. If there's a game that you want to hear our thoughts on, just give it an old search and see what we got. You can also leave recommendations for games to us to do in the future. We will get there eventually. There's a lot of games that we have recommended. But yeah, please, we love getting any recommendations.
It's really a treat.
Yes. Yeah. You can also find a link to our Discord on the website. We are part of the Worst Garbage Podcast Network. And you can go and hang out in the Discord and chat and talk about our episodes. It's a great place. Head on over.
It's a great place.
Thank you, Scout Wilkinson, for our beautiful podcast art. We'd love it. It is fantastic. You can go to see if any of her commissions are open at co-fi.com/humblegoat. Mm-hmm. And lastly, thank you, dear listener, spending your time with us, your ear time.
Yeah.
This ear time is being used for air that is transferring my voice into your ears right now.
Wow. That's cool.
So yeah, thank you. We really appreciate it. We do this even if nobody listened. So it's cool that people do listen. So yeah, thank you.
Is. Thanks, gamers.
Chase.
Yeah.
Do you have any video game wisdom for us this week?
I guess just like read some Mobius comics.
Oh, okay.
He's got some bangers.
Good.
Did a lot of the Silver Surfer, which looks really cool.
Okay.
I'm just looking at his shit. World of Adina.
I'm just looking at his shit. I think the COVID is coming for you, my friend.
Yeah, it might be. It's kind of slipping into my brain.
Yeah.
World of Adina looks cool.
World of Adina? Not Athena, but Adina.
Adina. E-D-E-N-A.
Eden A. Mobius
Eden
Library.
Yeah, read that. If you can, maybe wear a mask because my brain feels like it's starting to melt. I hope I don't have it. That would be so cool. But, you know, I probably do.
I'm probably going to
wake
up
feeling not good tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Godspeed.
Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and be able to like turn gravity upside down and fall and make it look cool.
I think if you just take like 4 packs of emergency You'll win this battle.
Nip it right in the bud. I was feeling kind of bad before I ate dinner, and then I ate a big old bowl of pasta. And what is a big bowl of pasta if not a double dose of emergency?
Is it?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know about that. I'm just saying you should open up a pack of emergency, and just snort that baby. Just snort it right up.
Ah, yeah, the mainlining of emergency. We haven't really considered that it's not the fact that emergency is not very effective. It's the fact that we're not doing
the
it
delivery
right.
method's wrong.
I need to get the vitamin C into me faster.
Yes, yeah. Video game Podtimism does not condone snorting vitamin C. You should not do this.
No, it's a bad idea.
Do this, just to be clear.
It's a bad idea.
But if you did, maybe you wouldn't get COVID.
Maybe. You probably would still. If you were like still very, I don't know. My brain's melting.
You'd be able to smell in colors.
You might be able to smell in colors, specifically the orange.
Yes, just everything is
vitamin
orange.
C cover is.
You wouldn't lose your sense of smell, but you would just be able to smell orange.
Which, citrus smells nice.
It's kind of invigorating, right?
Yeah, it's got a strengthening power.
It's good for you.
You'll just eat an orange.
Just eat an orange. Give it a sniff.
Give it a sniff.
Give that rind a sniff. Get it in your nose.
Give it a sniff.
You like that?
Yeah, it's nice.
Give it a sniff.
I would love to sniff an orange. Sometimes I have a tough time peeling an orange because it gets so oily under my my fingers.
Oh, you got some oily oranges, huh?
Got some oily oranges. I much prefer those mandarins, man.
Oh, we got a satsuma tree in our yard.
Oh, baby.
Oh man, that boy was popping off last year. Those things were so good, like candy. My goodness.
They're good. And just like, that's the right dose. Sometimes I peel and eat an orange. I'm like, God damn, that was a lot of fruit. That was a big boy.
Halfway through an orange, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done eating orange. It's like an it's it. Like halfway through an it's it, I'm like, this is too much. This is too much.
This is not it, as it turns out.
Have you had the mini it's its? They're great. They're the perfect amount of it's it that you want without the tummy ache afterwards.
Eat an orange. That's the gaming wisdom.
Eat an orange. Maybe half an orange.
Maybe half, depending on your dosage. All right, see you later, gamers. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
TWG, the worst garbage, the online.